Welcome to the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. Tonight, you will be joining Rotting Ricky and Asylum Amy as they play host to some of the true movers and shakers in the indie horror scene. So lock your doors, check under the bed, and get comfortable, because here we go.
And we're the Saska Sisters. And this is Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Good evening, junkies. Rotting Ricky, how's everyone doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing good. Episode number 91 of the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. Nearing close to 100. We have something fun and special in store for you for that. But tonight we have a great show and a wonderful guest, the beautiful and talented Brande Roderick. We're going to be bringing her out soon. She has a new film titled Wineville. We're going to get all into that. But first, we got our junkie news, everybody. So, yeah, let's get started. Our submissions are open for the Indie Horror Junkie. Oh, we're going to do Scarecon first. The Scarecon, there's so many. We're running two. It's a crazy year. The Scarecon Film Fest, which is going to be held in Syracuse, New York, September 5th through the 7th. Our submissions are open. Prices are going to go up at the end of the month. So keep your eyes out for our socials, because we're going to be having a quick flash sale on those submission fees. So if you have an indie horror short or an indie horror feature, definitely get those in. And our next film festival, which is the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival, is going to be next March out of MegaCon Orlando. It's going to be our third year running. So again, submissions, you guys can find us on Film Freeway. Submit your shorts, submit your features. We want to see them, and we want to have you guys out to MegaCon in Orlando. It's a huge production, over 250,000 people at the Orange County Convention Center. It's a great place to network, meet other filmmakers, meet other actors, writers, producers. So make sure that you guys are not missing out on these incredible opportunities. On top of that, we have some special guests that are going to be at Scarecon. Let's go ahead and bring some of those up and talk about them. We have the beautiful Felissa Rose. We all know and love her. We have Dave Sheridan, Daniel Roebuck, Kane Hodder, Phil Falcone, Jesse Posey, Tyler Posey, Eugene Clark, Jonathan Stark. All these Fright Nights. It's going to be so much fun. Stephen Joffreys, Amanda Bierce, dying to meet her, and William Ragsdale, along with the newly announced Costas Mandalore. So we're just getting started with the announcements. So along with your entry into Scarecon, you get a free entry into the festival. So it's going to be a party. Come and join us. The junkies will be there. And, just see what's going on the indie scene and what's going on with all these indie horror films that are just, old and new, and everybody's still celebrating what's going on. We also have, here we go. We have our tarot cards from, it's Bayview Entertainment sponsored our film. Obviously, there are distributors, but Tarot Cards is sponsoring on their app All About the Clock. You can go and collect all the characters, cast. There's BTS photos. You can get both your physical copy or just collect them online.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we have our guest coming up here. We'll bring this up here. This is the new issue that's currently out, issue number 17, with Paul Wiley on the cover. And there's Brande right there, our Indie Horror Hottie, and a little information about some of the many articles that we have in that issue. So that's available right now. Go to indiehorrorjunkie.com, click on magazines at the top, and you can pick up your hard copy or a digital copy right now.
And speaking of Brandy, she has a new indie horror feature film called Wineville. She's not only the star of the film, she's also the executive producer as well as the director. And we can't wait to talk about this film with you guys. It's a lot of fun. We're going to get into it. So let's go ahead and check out that trailer, and then we'll bring Brandy on.
Sounds good. And here you go. Here's the trailer for Wineville.
A couple of days, and we're out of here. I promise.
I am your grandfather's little sister.
Walter, this is my Aunt Margaret.
Joe is our jack of all trades. He was your father's right-hand man.
Where'd they find you?
Please, just let me go. I heard a scream.
We have another missing person.
Oh. This place is my world. And it could be yours too.
Do not wait up. Maybe if we show them what life is like here, they'll want to stay.
What have you done now?
Something right out of a fairy tale.
Or the Bible.
What could happen in a place called Wineville?
All right. Welcome to the show, Brandy. Thank you for joining the Junkies tonight.
Hey, Junkies. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's such a fun trailer. Hey, Mary, how are you? And, you know, we're going to talk all about it. I love the whole Grindhouse, Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes that you brought into this. I know it's set in the 70s. But before we get into all of that, you're no stranger to the spotlight. I want to, let everyone know who you are and your background and how you got started in the industry, because you have a really fun story to tell.
Where do you want me to begin? I mean, what do you?
I know there's a lot to go over. You're all over the place as far as that goes, but I feel like a fun start would be Baywatch, and you have a really great story as far as auditioning for that and what came of that role and how it kind of launched you forward, really.
Yeah. Well, I'd been in LA, Hollywood, I want to say for maybe 2 years, and had been, acting and of course taking acting classes and doing bit parts on, things like 90210 and Love Boat and all these different independent films and whatnot. But I went into audition for a new show, which was a volleyball show, and auditioned for that. And the casting director was like, Brandy, you would be perfect for Baywatch. Will you come meet the producer? And the producer was there and took me into the other room, gave me a cold script to look at and read right then and there. So I had to do a cold audition. And like, oh my gosh, you'd be great. Will you come and do the screen test? And the screen test was going to be like the next day or 2 days later or something crazy like that. So took my lines home, studied, went with my acting coach, and went back and did the screen test with Jason Brooks, who would have been my one of my love interests on the show, and auditioned. And we also had a water test. I had to go in the pool. They had to look at me, how I looked underwater, if I could swim, swimming across the pool, all that, holding my breath, all those things. And I got the call, and I didn't get the role I read for, which was kind of like a co-star role. But they said, we want to give you the lead role. We want to create a role for you. So I got the lead head lifeguard role on Baywatch, and they created it kind of around me and talked to me a little bit. Like my dad was in the Navy, and they made my dad, in the show, in the Navy, and just different things that they did. So it was kind of fun being able to help, in that process of creating a very strong female character. So that's where it all started, and got to pick up and move to Hawaii and live in paradise.
Incredible.
And just to have, the best job ever, really, and worked with such amazing people and built such wonderful friendships. And I feel like we built these great friendships because we were all stuck on this little island together, right? So we all became this little family and did everything together and just, had a blast.
That's such a fun story. Any of the actors that are watching this, that's like a dream story for them to happen to them. But it just goes to show the difference between auditioning, not even just then during the time of Baywatch, but even, 6 years ago before COVID happened. We talk about this a lot, the transition from, if you do an audition, they want you to hop on an airplane and fly out and, do another audition in person once they've pinned you. And, to be able to have the opportunity that you did to like, hey, you're great for this. Come over here to this room and meet this guy and then come back in 2 days. Like, that's just an incredible story.
Which is why, like Hugh Hefner always had this saying, luck is when hard work and preparation meet. So you have to be prepared so that when you do get those opportunities, whatever you want to call them, if it's luck, that you are prepared and you have been, working hard to get there. So,
which sounds like that's what you did. You had your acting coach, you had your butt in class, you were doing all the right things, you were studying, you were literally waiting for that moment. So it sounds like it happened, and Hugh was right. Speaking of Hugh, was it 2001? You made the cover of Playboy magazine, and you were still filming Baywatch at the time, right?
2000 was when I became Playmate. April 2000 was my issue, and I went to go shoot Baywatch April 2000. So they happened simultaneously. And then I think I shot Playmate of the Year. Then I got called to do Playmate of the Year. And I think when that came out is when the series started showing, like around that time. So they all kind of came out, all around the same time.
Which had to have just been...
Yeah, I mean, to be Playmate of the Year and be on the #1 watch show all at the same time, living in LA, it was a whirlwind. I mean, it was a very exciting time.
Yeah, all that hard work just coming into fruition all at once, I just think you have such an incredible story, and that was one of the reasons I wanted you to come on beside your film to talk about it, because every actor and filmmaker has their journey, and you just never know when or where it's going to happen. But you just have such a great story to tell, so thank you for sharing that. And you kind of went on from there. I mean, you had your role across Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller with Starsky and Hutch. I can remember watching that. I mean, I still remember watching Baywatch. It was just a fun time, and forget about it. I was watching 90210 when I wasn't supposed to be. I got in trouble a lot for that, but I still watched it.
Funny. Oh my gosh.
But you also worked with Scarlett Johansson on the Nanny Diaries. I mean, you really got into some great roles for film in addition to TV. And that's just so fun to watch. You went on to do Celebrity Apprentice and The Surreal Life. What were those shows like? Because that's different than just, coming on and running your lines. That's reality.
Well, the Surreal Life was actually the very first ever celebrity reality show. So I was like the guinea pig, right? So we didn't really know what to expect. But what made it better is I had already known Vince Neil. He was going to be on it. I already knew Corey Feldman. He was going to be on it. So I kind of felt like going into it, I already had my peeps, so I just said, okay, we're going to be hanging out in a house.
There's the comfortability there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it ended up being such a freaking wonderful experience. We had so much fun. We just stayed in a house for 10 days and did fun stuff, like just all these fun different activities that we did together. And it was a blast. We had a great time. I think our season was the only season where everybody got along. I think after that, they made sure to pick people that were going to like argue and, get in fights and go crazy. Cause that's where, let's be honest, that's where reality thrives. Right.
Yep.
But it was a great experience, and I was glad that I got to be a part of, the very first ever celebrity reality show.
But would you ever do reality TV again?
Absolutely.
There you go.
The All-Star, like I did, the Celebrity Apprentice, and then I came back to do the All-Star Celebrity Apprentice. And if they had an All-Star Celebrity Apprentice, I'd go back. Because
so you generally had a lot of fun on those shows.
Yeah, I mean, so the Celebrity Apprentice, I don't describe it as like, oh my God, it's fun, right? Because it was a lot of work. You're working 15 to 18-hour days and you're really doing these tasks. But I'm a very competitive person and I love the challenge and I want to win. So I love the competition shows. Like even I did Celebrity Fear Factor. So I'm a fan of, and if they ever did a Celebrity Survivor, I would do it. So
really?
If there's ever one of the, I am there. Okay.
You lost me at Fear Factor. That show you said terrifying me, like getting buried in a coffin with like maggots poured all over you. I just couldn't do it. So
that one, and I had to do a heights thing, and I'm definitely afraid of heights. But Survivor for me, because I'm always like, I can eat anything. Like I would eat all that crap because I could just get away with it. I would just do that. But, and it's like, living out in the nature. I'm a camper. I love camping. So for me, I feel like I would really thrive, and I'm competitive, like athletic. So I could do like those competitions and,
you enjoy that challenge. There you go.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you've made it this far with everything that you have going on. You're a go-getter and we love that about you.
Thank you.
Let's start talking about your film, Wineville. It's an indie horror feature film. This is your directorial debut, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Which, congratulations on that. I got to ask you, what brought you over to the dark side?
And welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Have you always been a fan of horror, or was this just something that, were you inspired by something? What came about of this film?
My family's really effed up. So we are like huge, like psychos. Like my mom, I watched The Exorcist, was at 6 years old on the couch with my mom. I watched Rabid, and like after the movie was over, I went up to go to the bathroom. When I'm coming out, I come out and there's this psycho crazy zombie on the ground grabbing my leg with foam coming out of his mouth. And that was my dad. He went and got toothpaste and foamed at the mouth. My 12th birthday, we watched Sleepaway Camp. And then went outside. My dad would always set up a tent for us every year, and he'd come out with a knife and shake the tent. Everybody out. And there was usually only like one or two girls that would stay. They'd always call their parents, and they were all scared. But like my parents are psychotic like that. Every Halloween, we always dressed up. Even in college, I took a class on serial killers. Like what makes them and who makes them who they are. Like I've always just been infatuated with it. But again, because I grew up in a family that was our life. Like we watched crazy sick movies since I was little. And so that's, and then when I got into acting, my very first independent film was a horror zombie film. And then that went on to, I did Dracula, I did Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror, Project Legion, that's always been, the Scream Queen. I'm the Scream Queen.
We're here for all of that. We're here for the family stories. We're here for the indie horror. I mean, it sounds like you have an incredible family. How much more fun does it get than that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the best. I love that crazy like that.
So Wineville, tell the viewers, the premise of the story without giving too much away.
Well, it is based in 1978, and it does have that kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, right? Late 70s horror film, serial killer family has that similarity. But my character, Tess, ran away from home at the age of 15 because some horrific, horrible things were happening to her. And she moved to Vegas. She has a kid. And then she gets a call that her father had passed away and she has to come back and take care of the family estate, the winery. And so she now comes back with her 11-year-old son. And when she gets back, she finds that things have only darkened and festered and gotten worse and more sick and twisted. And so now not only does she have to try and escape herself, she has to now try and save her son. So will they get out alive? I don't know. Will we kill a kid in a movie? I don't know. But yeah, so it's very sick and twisted, and it is definitely not for the faint at heart. I will say that. So don't watch it with your kids. I will say
Don't
that.
watch it with your kids, you guys. Well, unless
Although my mom probably would have.
Yeah,
I mean, my littles always want to watch stuff they can't watch. I'm like, there's no way I'm letting you watch that. But now with, the technology of Apple TV, they can turn on and see all of the posters and they're like, I want to watch Terrifier. It's like, there's no way you're watching it. So they know all of these horror icons and they ask me questions about them, but I'm like, hi Dean, you just can't watch it yet.
Yeah.
I think the scariest film that my oldest has seen was, oh gosh, I don't know. I can't even think of it now.
How old is your son?
My oldest is 7. My youngest is 4. So, and my youngest wants to watch everything. Like he's not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
But I think there's some films that's you can just kind of let's fast forward. You can watch a little bit and then we'll fast forward. But there's always that entry level of horror. I'm trying to find those films and the Goosebumps and the things like that. Rick and I have talked about writing a film, like an entry level film of horror that's safer.
Teen, a little late, like 10.
Yeah. And that's such a fun age. And Rick has actually wrote something a while back that he sent me that we're kind of talking about. Yeah, Book of Nightmares. And I love kid actors because they're so honest and they're just so in touch with their own selves, and they're really not affected by all these other thoughts that I think adults tend to overthink. And so they give these authentic, grounded performances, and I just get so amazed by that. So anyways, I'm rambling on about that, but like there's stuff I want to show my kids, but I can't.
Well, you could be like my son was, I think he was 6 or 7 and stumbled across Saw, and but I didn't know. But now they could just put on whatever and watch what you want. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I remember I came home. He's like, oh, I saw Saw. I'm like, oh, what? You watched Saw? Like, where was your dad? He was in his room working.
And they're like, wait, why didn't you wait for mommy? I wanted to watch that with you.
Yeah, so my kids, they've been watching kind of horror films since they were young too. But
what do you do? I was introduced to it young as well.
As long as they don't have like nightmares, but your own kids, right? If your kid, your kid's gonna have a nightmare, then you don't want them to watch.
Exactly, and they know the difference. Like it's just I call it movie magic and Halloween fun. That's what we're doing. It's not real, but they're into it. That's really cute. So with this film, what was it like for you personally, both directing and having a lead role? How did that all play out for you? What was that like?
Well, it was very hard, I will say. From start to finish, we had so many roadblocks that would happen. I mean, even like the first writer that was on board ended up going to jail. So that happened.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
So then we did a whole new story. And there was, first day of set, the costumer has COVID, so had to deal with that. And, this is a period piece. It's not like you can just run down to the mall and grab stuff. So had to replace her like right there on the day. Another day, the set decorator spray paint in her eyes. I had to deal with that emergency.
Good Lord.
There was just one thing after the other. But
you're not just directing and lead actress at this point. You're literally producing from all like your first AD as well. Like the stuff that you're naming me that you dealt with, you're doing everything.
I am it. Like I'm the person you go to. So I had to deal with everything, and then I have to run and try to be in a scene. So it was so there was a lot. I wore a lot of hats, and it was crazy, and it was 16 to 18-hour days, and but all that being said, as crazy and as hard as it was, I freaking loved it. Even like day one, showing up on the first day of shooting, I was looking around and I was just like, it was like peace. Felt so good. And it was awesome. Like I'm doing it. I'm really doing it, and it was I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It's kind of funny to say that you love something, but something was so hard, right? It's like weird that it goes hand in hand, but it does.
It makes sense. And because you have such a competitive heart and mind, you probably thrive in that environment.
Yeah, maybe.
It sounds like you're quick on your feet and you know how to problem solve as you go. And some people are just wired that way. So lucky for you, that's how it went. And you were just able to, you know,
Absolutely.
here we go. This is from Dean Blackwelder, one of our lovely supporters of Indie Horror Junkie. To Brande, I believe you are a part of horror movies coming back.
Thank you, Dean. I
Go watch Wineville, Dean. And you just answered some of my questions right there about some of the challenges you face just alone with the production itself.
Yeah. But it's all worth it in the end. It's just been awesome. Definitely.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of wrote the story around the location, right?
Yes, because we got the location first. Well, I'm trying to remember how that even came about, but it's a friend of mine's winery. It's the oldest winery in Southern California, Galliano Winery. Oh, wow. And their family is just so wonderful. And to open up their entire winery to us for 2 weeks,
That's jackpot right there.
A blessing. Absolutely. And they were so helpful with everything. I mean, they were constantly getting out the tractors, moving stuff from one barn to the other, and, helping, even bringing me wine when I needed it. Even whiskey at times. But no, they just are the most amazing family. I'm so grateful to them. But yes, so we were lucky enough to have the location. So we're writing the story around that, seeing, which barn we were going to film in, what scene we could do here, which house we had access to. And so it made it, where, more affordable, where we can actually confine everything onto this one property and created the story around that.
Because that's half the battle right there. We always say that like the hardest part is the funding. And then once you get that, it's the locations. And, writers always, if you're on a budget, you do try to tailor and write around what you have access to. And that's just part of staying on track and not going over budget. How many days do we have to film this? And, what can we do? So you're right. That was a huge blessing that you had everything right there that you needed. Dean Blackbird, that would have been a great location. Yeah, that's a dream location. That sounds incredible. I'm really happy for you that all worked out, because that is, with everything that you were doing and all the hats that you wore, that in itself is like, okay, I can breathe. I have that. I can check off my list.
Yeah, absolutely. And the location itself, it was built, the winery was built in the early 1900s. So it already had all of the creepy elements that you could imagine, all the old farm equipment, the barns, everything, anything and everything you could imagine. So we were really lucky that, everything was already old, that was on site.
Project. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I was gonna say, did you set out? Because I know you said that you basically wrote the story based around the location once you got the location. Mm-hmm. Did you already have it in your mind that you wanted to do a genre movie, or did it just kind of, gestate as you found the location, or did you have it set up that we're going to make a horror movie? How are we going to do this?
Already knew we were making a horror movie. And that started because when I wanted to make a movie, I asked a lot of my very successful producer friends, what genres sells, because then here comes my business acumen also. And he said that your easiest sale will be a horror film. And so for me, knowing my, background in horror and what I know and love, my, favorite genre, it was an easy choice, so I knew I wanted to make a horror movie for sure.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with this being an indie film and this being your baby, like this is your baby, you're directing, you're doing all these things, this is yours, you want to take care of it. Were you also a part of the casting process?
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. I loved the casting process. I loved it, but there were also the thing that I didn't like about it is we had to send out the scenes, right? And I'm like, God, these scenes are so long. I feel bad for the actors because I know on the other side, having spent the time to memorize and do all the stuff. And I have to say, everyone was so good. Like the actors were so good that I felt bad not choosing them, right? I would get so excited when the actors would send in, their auditions. I couldn't wait to get up there and look at the audition. Is this going to be my Joe? Is this going to be my Aunt Margaret? And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the casting process.
Did you do like a big casting call, Actors Access, or did you kind of do more of an internal casting? Did you cast people that you knew that you had in mind as you guys were writing? What was that like?
It was all Actors Access. However, my son, I cast, who's my real son, cast
Oh,
him.
no way. Oh, that's really cool, Brandy. I love that. So was that his first time and playing, in a film? Is that his first time acting, or does he also act as well?
We did another film together called Ace and the Christmas Miracle with John Lovitz about a talking horse. So he went from Christmas movie to horror movie. So it was his second movie. But so he was the only one that I cast, but everybody else was through Actors Access.
That had to have been such a fun experience.
Yeah, it was.
Having them right there on set with you and you guys sharing that. And now you've always got it. You've got it on tape, and
they'll have that forever. And for me,
forever.
It was easy because those scenes, like, I didn't have to prepare for. It was just like, you're talking to your kid, your real kid. And, the lines were really, talking to my kid. So that was great. And that helped because since I was wearing so many other hats, I didn't have time to just go deep and prepare for anything. So at least I was playing myself, really. I was playing a mother, who will do anything to save her son. I mean, that's easy to do, right? Because that's what I would do in real life. So, yeah.
Now, as far as the creativity that goes into like the wardrobe, or I know that you had to replace somebody last minute, but were you very specific about what your characters, how you wanted them, to look in the aesthetic?
Well, yes. I mean, of course, it was 70s, right? So my thought of aesthetics, was Farrah Fawcett and that, era with the feathered hair and all the clothes. And my character's, from, Las Vegas and had a kind of a rough life. So she's a little, not too buttoned up type of person. You know what I mean? So just, we basically just talked when we had a great wardrobe stylist, and gave her all the ins and out of all the characters, and then she sent over her lookbook of each character, and it was all dead on. Like, I didn't even, like, she got it, so it was great. So I just let her run with it, and she got to go to all the the costume prop houses and everything, and get all the 70s wardrobe, which was so much fun. So yeah, no, that part was great, and had someone really good.
And so now that you've been through this experience with, creating this film, it's your own, directing it, did you kind of catch the bug? Do you see yourself wanting to have another project or work as a director on other people's projects? Where do you land with that? Because sometimes I feel like once you start, filling different roles, you might lean a different way for a while, or maybe you want to do both. But where do you see yourself going after this film?
Well, it's tough because I love it all. I do, but I don't want to do it all again at the same time. But there's certain, like, I'll always produce, I'll always act. And as far as directing goes, like, I don't want to do anything on set, right? Like, I want to just be able to worry about being an actress and possibly, and producing, helping to take care of things. But with directing, it's tough because I love being a part of all the pre-production, the writing, the casting, all those things that a director would do. And then in post, I love the editing and, creating and going through the editing process and, picking the music and adding certain sounds in certain places and taking out certain things and going in the coloring room and fixing the color and all those kinds of things I love doing. So it's tough. Like, if I could just work with a director that would let me still do all that stuff.
You basically need to somehow clone yourself, Brandy.
Right. Or maybe come up with a good co-directing.
That was going to be my next comment.
Yeah.
If you can find a really great co-director that kind of lets you on set take that step back to take care of what you need to take care of as far as your role in that character.
Well,
but they're also totally in your head.
Yes. But you know what? That's kind of the relationship I had, because Richard Shankman, the writer of the film, he was my mentor. He was with me every step of the way on set. We did everything together. And luckily, we agreed on pretty much everything, 99% of the time. So I kind of feel like I had that type of relationship already. So I would probably do something like that in the future, because I do the pre and post production part of it.
We had another question here from Dean.
I may have missed it, but who did the makeup effects? Who did like all your practical special effects?
Vincent, and I'm going to butcher his last name. He's going to kill me. Guafastini.
No, it's okay. Just go to IMDb.
But he's like, I was so lucky to have him because he does huge Hollywood blockbuster films. And the reason why I know him is because we worked on Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror. And so when I was doing this movie, that's why my movie looks like a higher budget film, because I really called in a lot of favors. And Vincent, came, I talked to him and he said, yeah, Brande, I got you. I'll do your movie. So I got really lucky that Vincent came on to do it because, like I said, he does big movies. So if you look him up, he's amazing.
Now, I'm sure the answer is yes, because I know your hands are in everything, but were you a part of creating those kills?
Creating the kills in what way? You mean
I want this to happen in this way. Like I want this character to die this way with this weapon.
Yes. So there are some kills.
It's such a fun part. I mean, it's sick to say, but it is. That's one of the funnest parts. Is the creative, because you want it. There's that part of you that like, I want it to be something that no one's ever done. How can we do that? And you're working with, your special effects artist. So.
Yeah. And I really wanted to think outside the box, and I really wanted to shock people. So there are some kill scenes that I came up with that are really sick, and there's some that Richard came up with that are really sick. But yeah, so that was definitely fun. I loved the creative process of just coming up with the story, and Richard and I just going back and forth creating this really sick and twisted movie.
Love it.
We're here for that.
Yes.
What would be some advice you would give to any filmmakers that are watching tonight about, you talked about a lot of the challenges that you face. What would be some advice that you would give somebody if they were trying to do this themselves and take that leap of faith?
Knowledge is key. So I would for sure talk to as many people as that are in the business, get as much advice as you can, watch as many YouTube videos, read for me, listen to as many books as possible, and do your homework first. Like even marketing, right? Marketing your movie. You need to read all that stuff before you shoot the movie, not after, because there's a lot of stuff you have to do before, during shooting that you need to do for marketing purposes and all these things that if you don't know, then you're missing that opportunity. So I would do all your research, do as much as you can, read as many books as you can. I say read, but listen to, because it'll go way faster. You can get in a lot more knowledge that way, information. So that for sure, I would definitely, I would say get as much information as possible before you even start, because social media is going to be key on promoting your movie. So if you don't have someone coming in and doing all the right PR elements, like interviewing your actors, filming all the outtakes, doing a photo shoot while you're on set, there's so many things that you need to do.
Those are all really great points. And you're right. It's so important to know what it is you're doing, you guys, before you go out there and start spending that money.
Exactly. That's one thing I didn't do. I didn't know about the whole social media marketing thing ahead of time. I knew it was important to get stills on set, but that's all I did. I didn't realize that, oh my gosh, you better get these certain things that you're going to need to market your film.
Nope. That's all great advice. I want to go back to Snoop Dogg. What was it like working with him? When did you film this? What was the synopsis of this? It's Snoop, so it had to have been a lot of fun, right?
Yes. It's so funny because you'd show up on set and you would smell something. Was there? Or if you'd already been there and all of a sudden you start smelling something like, oh, Snoop's here now. No, that was awesome working with him, because that was the second time I worked with him, because I worked with him before on Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, that's right. Peggy.
Okay.
But so it's great working with him again, and he created like in a few hours like the song for the movie. He's just so talented. But yeah, no, that was fun. I like me some Snoopy Snoop.
I always tell everybody I saw him in concert. I actually went to a Linkin Park concert, and he opened up for Linkin Park, and it was so funny because the moment they announced him, and this was an outdoor arena, but the moment they announced him, all you smelled was pot. It was amazing.
Oh, that's funny. Very funny. Yeah.
I want to go back to, Snoop in the house for sure. I want to go back to Starsky and Hutch as well. What was that like filming with these incredible actors? Did that happen during Baywatch as well, or was that after?
That was after.
Okay.
And it was great. I mean, I feel so lucky. I've just been so blessed with all my opportunities. So Todd Phillips was the director, and as I'm sure you probably know, he won the Oscar for directing Joker. So working with him was fantastic. Obviously, working with Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller was awesome. And, we got to improv, and that was just so much fun, improving with these guys. It was a lot of fun. And they ended up using the scene that we improv'd for the movie instead of the scripted. So it's a fun little piece of information. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
So you shot the scene as written, and then they kind of just said, "Hey guys, have at it." Did you know that you would be improvising?
No, they did not say have at it. They didn't tell me. So Todd told Owen and Ben to do this one improv. So my reactions were all like real reactions and real answers. I had no idea they were going to do it.
That's cool.
Because they ended up using that one. So that was cool.
That is so funny. Now, Wineville is out, so people can watch this. Where can everybody watch this? You're on a ton of platforms.
Yes, pretty much everywhere that you stream a movie. Amazon, Prime, Apple, Tubi, where else? DirecTV, wherever you have, your normal cable provider. So yeah, it's out there everywhere now.
Is there any physical media for it as far as Blu-ray or DVD? It is perfect.
DVD, yep. And you can get an autographed DVD if you go to winevillemovie.com.
Here we go.
And I send it to you. I autograph it, and my son autographs it. We're both on the cover of the poster.
Love that.
So we both autograph it. And it's got, all the cool things, behind the scenes stuff. We even put the actor audition tapes on there, which is always fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is fun.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good one.
That's a big thing that I've always really gotten excited about. I'll buy a movie sometimes, even if I haven't heard much about it, just because of all the extras and being able to see the behind the scenes. Because as a filmmaker myself, you always like to go in and see how somebody else does things and see everything. So it's so cool.
Yeah. For me as an actress, I think it's kind of fun, to see the auditions, right? And then if you see their audition, then you can compare it to the movie, how they did it in the movie. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Exactly. I always do that. If I audition for something like a network TV show, and then I get to a certain point and I don't make it, but then you see the show and you're like, who did they pick and why? It's so fun for that, to see that process, and it's not disheartening for me. It's encouraging, because it's like, okay, you got that far, but it could be because they wanted somebody with blue eyes. It could be that, one thing. You just never know. That is fun to watch.
It's somebody's friend that, they had to call upon, or the producers, whoever. It's like, it could be something internal that you had no control over. It's just, you never know. And that's the one thing, I'd want actors to know. It's like, even if you don't get picked, you did a freaking great job, that's the one thing. Yeah. Seeing those audition tapes, I was just like, everyone did so good. It's just that when the person that's supposed to be that character that you had in your head comes across screen, that's the person, and you just know it. Even though they did a great job, it's just that's your person you envisioned, and it comes across, and there it is. So,
But it is so fun to see the audition to screen and have those side by sides. That is a
Totally.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, this is a question I want to ask. It's more on the business side. It's important because we are indie here. If you're comfortable talking about it. So you are on streaming platforms. Did you decide to self-distribute, or did you seek a distributor and go that route? And I ask that because there's always this it's a big question with indie filmmakers. And some people have done both, some people have done one. What was that process for you?
I got a sales agent, and then he submitted to all the distributors, and that's how we got our distributor. So so that's how I went about it. I don't know that I would know how to do it any other way. I prefer to give it into the, professionals' hands.
Yes.
And that's just me and how I do it. But so now it's just a waiting game and getting the reports, and mid-August is when we get our first real reports back to see how it's doing. But yes. Goodbye.
Always fun getting that first report. Yeah, and we ask that because it is a big conversation in the indie world. It's kind of like a battle. What do we do? The pros and cons of self-distribution versus having a distributor? And Rick and I have done both ourselves, and go back and forth depending on the project.
How would you? I don't even know how you'd go directly to Amazon or any of those to do that.
Yeah, as far as that goes with the streaming and stuff like that, basically they're looking for aggregators, so you can't really go directly to them. I mean, you can do the Film Hub process, which is just putting and it pitches to it, or you go and find the distributor like we did for The Clock. We got Bayview Entertainment, and Bayview Entertainment has those connections and stuff that they went to, and they were able to get on the streaming platforms.
Right. So then when you say self-distribute, then what do you mean? Because I'm like, I don't even know how you'd
Film Hub. Film Hub is a platform where filmmakers can take, and you have to provide them all the deliverables yourself. So you're from beginning to end. You're doing everything, subtitles, balancing the sound, like everything has to be presented in a package, and you give it to them. And if there's certain things that aren't how they need it to be for, distribution, they bounce it back to you. And you guys have that process until your package is complete.
So
and then,
you just have to hope people know what Film Hub is, and they'll watch it on Film Hub.
So Film Hub takes your package almost like a distributor. It's almost like a third party, but it's without like a direct distribution. They pretty much pitch it. It seems like it's
like an aggregator then. They're
yeah, but you have you're not giving your control away. Like you're not, if they're say that you also pitched it to Hulu yourself, that you had a contact there and they pick it up. You can still do that. It's not outside the contract that you have with Film Hub.
Yeah.
And then a lot of resources that Film Hub have, you just kind of find out along the way and you do it yourself, like, physical media and things like that. And there's just, I'm telling you, when you're indie, you find your ways around it and you stick your nose into everything. And how can I do this for cheaper so that I can make my money back quicker? So I guess that's where that question was coming from, because it is such a question with indie films that are on such a small budget, but also, just don't want to have to go through the distribution for whatever reason it is, whether it's experience or it's their first time or they just want to try it out themselves. It's just it's a big topic in the indie world, and it goes both ways.
Yeah, and they don't have good reputations, distributors. However, I have a fantastic distributor. I have Dark Star Pictures, and they're so great.
Write that down, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're so great, and they're honest people, and they love horror, and they're just great people. So I got really lucky with that, and now we're selling it worldwide. So we're working on that, and I have a sales agent for that. But my American distributor, Dark Star's fantastic.
Well, let me ask you this about Dark Star. Do they pretty much take over everything? Like, in other words, not only as far as exclusivity when it comes to the streaming services, but do they also cover the physical media? So therefore, you can't do anything yourself. They pretty much handle everything?
Yes, they handle physical media.
Okay.
But
because some distributors now don't.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, they do that. And I think because they also are, very much into horror, so they know their audience. So
Yes,
they definitely do the physical media, which was great
that's a
for
good
me.
point.
And for me, I just get the DVDs and I sell them myself. So,
Yeah.
and then of course I get my percentage, whatever they
You
sell
were
on.
at the point you were ready to hand it off and let people do their jobs down the pipeline.
Yeah.
A lot of filmmakers don't like giving away certain creative aspects, like what is their poster going to look like, or
I didn't give any of that away. No, I structured my deal so that
for you. But that does happen with other. No, yours sounds amazing, but in indie that can happen. So that's another reason why some people tend to just, acquire as much knowledge as they can to self-distribute through Film Hub or through, their own physical media and things like that.
Yeah.
But there are good distributors out there. You just got to find them.
Exactly. There are diamonds in the rough.
And we've had a great relationship with Bayview. We can't say a single bad thing about them. They've been great. They're transparent. This is my second film that we've done through them, and we know and love them. But we just like to ask that question because everybody has such a different route that they take in post-production when it comes to just that part of the process. So
yeah, and if someone can spend the time and that's all they do, and they're just going to focus just on their one film, then I could see how, that someone could do that and go spend the time and do it themselves. Yeah.
But not everybody can. You just can't.
Some people are just ready to go on to the next project. We've done this one. We did our due diligence. Let it go ahead and do its process. Now let's go on to the next one, like Wineville Part 2.
Yeah.
Is that in the works? Is there anything in the works for,
if I did do another Wineville, it would be a prequel. I think it would be more fun to tell the story of how they became so effed up, this serial killer.
That's a good angle.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else lined up as far as in the horror genre, whether it be acting or directing or even writing?
All of the above. I have my book here, which has all my stories because I just come up with all of these sick, crazy ideas. But I also it's crazy. I also have comedies, and but it's just easier for me for whatever reason. I just have this sick mind, and maybe it is because I took those classes in college and really got into the mind of the serial killer. But so I have lots of stories, both horror genre, thriller, and comedy. So as soon as Wineville takes off, I'm going to pick whichever one in that moment that I'm feeling that I want to create. So yeah, but I also have a reality show I've been working on. I'm also a host of a new gambling show called Girls That Gamble. So I'm like all.
No way. Are you able to talk about any of those right now?
Yeah. Like the Girls That Gamble show it starts the end of August. It's for football season, and I give all the picks. It's myself and a co-host, and we give all the picks. Picks. And then there's 2 reality shows in the works, and one of them right now, it's gotten as far as it's at Peacock, and they're making their decision. So there's that. And yeah, so just keeping busy. I mean, for me, number one love is film and creating and acting and producing. So I will continue to do that as well.
Well, real quick, a question for that Girls Gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, this is football related, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're making your picks like that. So how well do you see my Tampa Bay Buccaneers doing this year? Be honest.
Ooh. That's a tough one. Were you happy with any of your draft picks?
I was happy with all of our draft picks.
Good. Okay. Well, then maybe with that, you might have a good season.
Oh, there we go. All right, I can do it because I think we had a good stable of people to begin with, and I think the draft picks we got really, are going to solidify that.
Yeah, exactly. It might solidify it, and the two of that coming together, you might have a good year.
There we go. I like it. What other chance am I going to get to talk Bucks, right?
See, Rick can talk horror all day long, and we do, but he can also talk sports.
Yes.
Thank you, Dean.
Yeah, Bucks, we're located in Tampa, so that's our hometown team.
Yes.
Nice. Very cool. I actually took my youngest son to a Tampa Bay game.
Okay.
like 5 years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully
Yeah.
it wasn't a blazing hot summer game.
It was very hot. It was, but it was nice. I'd rather be hot than cold any day. So we had a great time. Yeah.
Good for you. That's fun. Like 100 years ago, I cheered for the Bucks for 3 seasons. So I'm obligated to continue to cheer for them now. So I have to be Team Rick, Team Bucks on that. But the games were hot. The games were hot. It was even hotter on the field and hotter with those black pirate boots on that they had us dancing in for 4 hours.
I bet. Oh my gosh. I can imagine.
Just remember my feet being blazing.
Yeah.
But, and then the whiplash the next day from all the hair whips they had you do.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that issue, but thank you. I can appreciate that. But I do have a question for you, though, with regards to Wineville. Now that it's pretty much in that process now, and it's you're waiting for some feedback and stuff. Is there any talk of you, like, because with the horror genre, they have the film festival circuit, they have the convention circuit, they have all these fans that are so loyal and go around and really pick everybody up. Has there been any talk about maybe you attending a couple of events or anything to represent Wineville, bring anything out there?
That's where I met Brande. Was it?
That's right. You said New Jersey Horror Con, right? Yeah. Are you planning on doing anything else?
Oh, as far as like just going and making appearances at the horror conventions and stuff? Oh yeah, that's my jam. I've been doing that for years. I love the horror conventions. I go to Chiller. I've been at Chiller every year for the past 20 years. I'm doing Crypticon in Salt Lake City next in September. I have like a bunch of them lined up, but yeah, I love the horror conventions, which I was going to ask you about. A couple of them you were mentioning earlier. I'm like, I want to go to those.
You got to hook up with us in Syracuse because that's going to be a fun show, and the Levies are going to be there. They're actually a part of that convention, and so that's how we got tied up into that, because they came down to Florida for our Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival when they were right before Screamboat hit theaters, and we had a huge fan screening there. Like 300 people came out because we were lucky enough to have that. MegaCon's huge, so we had a huge theater. And then we had such a fun weekend and a great experience with that. They're like, hey, we're ramping up because ScareCon is like a 15-year con. They just took the last 5 years off, like COVID happened, and they're getting back into it. And now, those guys are involved in this and they're ramping up the film festival. So we're running that aspect of it, and them and, their crew are running the actual con themselves, but they're just starting out, with their guest announcements. So we got to get you out there.
And then is MegaCon a horror one or is that more like a Comic-Con?
It's pop culture. It's everyone, but they have a horror aspect to it. We are kind of boots on the ground creating, a bigger aspect of that. They have a whole like hall of horrors where wherever this place is so big. There's 250,000 people that show up, and we only take up half of the convention center. It's insane how big it is. So depending on what the floor plan is that year, we have this hall of horrors, and we just get to be a big part of, all of that. But with the theater and the space they give us, we kind of have our own little mini con. Like we invite, writers and directors out. And if you like a film like yours that like say it's already out and you just want to promote it, you can have a special screening there, but still have a table and sell merch and do your signings. We just try to make it really interactive and fun for the filmmakers. And just use, the area that they give us to everyone's advantage. It's a lot of fun. So you're always welcome to come down for that too.
Yeah. And then where's your ScareCon?
That's in Syracuse.
Thank you, Night Mary. I'd love to see you at MegaCon also.
So Mary is incredible. She's very involved with Indie Horror Junkie, huge supporter, and she's one of our amazing film fest judges.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she is. She can tell you anything and everything Indie horror. So we keep her and her man around. We keep them around to just kind of hang out and do whatever the junkies are doing, because we're always into something, you guys. So
and ScareCon is in Syracuse, New York. She was mentioning that's in September 5th through the 7th.
Yes. So that's always a great time. But where can everyone find you, keep up with you on socials? Go ahead and just do all the plugs.
Yeah. So Brande Roderick, just my name. You can find me on all the socials. Wineville Movie is for the handle for all social media, Wineville Movie. And then, support an independent filmmaker. Go watch Wineville. You can watch it for free, even on Tubi. Or
get a signed copy.
or get a signed DVD copy at winevillemovie.com. And also right now, something fun that I'm doing for people. If people go watch the movie and they go on IMDb and rate it, and they send me proof on my social media, I'm doing a shout out, and I'm going to send people their like a voice memo back. You know, thank you.
Great.
Oh, that is cool.
That is great. What a great idea.
Yeah. So send that to me. I give you a shout out, and it helps both of us.
There you go, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining the Junkies tonight.
Yes.
You guys go out, check Brande out on socials. Absolutely watch Wineville. Get your signed copy. Check her out in issue number 17 of Indie Horror Junkie magazine. She's got a great spread in there, just talking about everything she's got going on, who she is, and we're going to continue to promote this film. We want to support what you're doing, and we're just so thankful you to come on tonight. We're going to kick you backstage for just a second and give you a proper goodbye. We're going to go ahead and close out the show. And
hi, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you guys for watching. And Brande, we're going to say goodbye to you in just a minute. But such a great show. You guys seriously watch this film. It is a really, really fun watch. If you like that kind of grindhouse, Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, this movie is for you. So congratulations, Brande, on this film. We wish you nothing but success. Thank you, Dean, for checking us out. And we will see you junkies next Wednesday. Have a good night.